So I'll have to have Kent take some pictures of me eventually in this shawl to show it off because it was so much fun. And oh no! Oh my gosh, I just noticed this. This is terrible. Hey everyone, it's Natalie, also known as Knitty Natty. Welcome to episode 100 of the Love in Stitches podcast. I can't even believe it, episode 100. It's so crazy. I'm excited to celebrate with you today. Honestly, it's like gonna be pretty much a regular podcast episode, except that I've finished some things and I'm excited to show them to you. That doesn't usually happen. I do have some prizes to give away, so I'm excited about that to celebrate episode 100. But first, I kind of want to go back in time and talk about the history of these last 100 episodes and kind of like a little bit of what has happened then. So if this is your first episode, or if you have been watching from the beginning, I think it'd be really fun to go back and watch episode 1. In fact, I need to do that myself. Maybe I'll even put in a little clip here so we can do a side-by-side comparison of like where we started and where we are now. But so I started the Love in Stitches podcast. Actually, I started on Instagram doing 10-minute little podcasts. They were up and down every week. I did 20 of those. So that's really where the podcasting started. And then in December of 2018, I did Vlogmas for the very first time. And so that was a daily video routine. And then finally in 2019, I did my first kind of episode. I did a year in review. It wasn't even podcast episode 1. At that point, I was thinking about doing a YouTube podcast. I really wanted to, but I was pretty nervous about how that would go and everything. So I did my year in review inspired by Boston Jen. She has an audio podcast, a knitting and crochet audio podcast. It's amazing. Definitely go listen to it. And I did that year in review, and then Diane from Suburban Stitcher saw it and she talked about it, and overnight I had all of these new subscribers. Even though I had been posting on YouTube for a month and I'd been growing, I probably had 100 subscribers or something, and then all of a sudden overnight I had 500 people, and it was amazing. And I will never forget just how much it meant to me that somebody I admired in the knitting podcast world shared my video, and that kind of helped me launch into doing and get the confidence, honestly, to do YouTube for real. And now here we are, 2021. Today is April 21st. Yeah, April 21st, Wednesday, April 21st, 2021, and we're at episode 100. So just over 2 years of podcasting. I've been really pretty consistent with doing weekly podcasts up until moving from Texas to New York City, which is where I am now. And that's that's about it. That's a summary of the last 2 years. Since then, I've kind of gone from doing just the weekly podcast to then also doing tutorials. More recently, I've been doing a lot of vlogs and just getting really creative here on YouTube, and it's been so much fun. Back when I started, I was still teaching at an elementary school doing, what is it called? Why did I just blank on what I was doing? Reading intervention. And just as of a month ago, I am now full-time doing YouTube and knitting and all the stuff that comes with that. So it is truly amazing to be at this milestone. It is not lost on me how lucky that I feel, how grateful that I am for where I am now at episode 100. I'm just super excited, super thankful, and this is going to be a fun episode. I actually have a good podcast for you today. I have a lot of content, so I'm very excited about that. I'm looking at everything. So I'm still getting established. This is only my second podcast here in our new apartment in New York City. I don't really know if this will be always my background. I might switch it up. I did a better job this time. I have a few cute things on my windowsill here. I found all of my labels for my projects recently. I've got my you can't really see it because of the light, but I have my cute little fairy lights here. So I'm just gonna be playing around, messing around for a while, trying to figure out what works best. I like that I'm able to use natural light right now, even though it's not perfect. I like that I don't have to get out my my lights and everything like I did back in Texas, even on sunny days. So this is kind of nice. I might just roll with it, even if it's not the most perfect. I like that I can do that. Okay, so did I miss anything in the introduction? Stay tuned for prizes. I do have those later on, but let's just get into the episode. I have some finished objects to show you today. In fact, I spent all of yesterday, literally all day, just finishing projects, cleaning up my messy knitting tote bag that has been just getting stuff piled into it ever since in January. I packed up all of my yarn shelves, and I took what I could with me to my mother-in-law's, and I've been working out of this tote, and it was a mess. I'd been finishing projects to the point where maybe I wove in the ends or didn't, but I didn't block anything, and it was just like, it was messy. It was just messy. I recorded a vlog all yesterday that will be coming out next week, probably on Tuesday, so you get to see that whole process. But right now I'm going to show you what I actually finished. So newly finished is my scrappa. This is a brioche pattern. It is a free pattern by Jennifer Shields Toland, and it was really fun to make. Don't let my progress on it fool you. It's actually a pretty quick project, and it does not take a lot of yarn. I have right here what's left of it. I almost just dropped it. And I have just almost 75 grams for each of these balls, which means I only used a quarter of the yarn. Pretty amazing. And I have a full finished object, and not a small one at that. So I am actually going to be giving away these 2 balls of yarn as a set in the vlog that I was talking about that's coming out next week. So if you like these 2 pretties, there's still plenty of them left to make another project, and I'm going to be giving those away in the vlog. So look for that next week. But anyway, scrappa. It's all finished. It is a great first brioche project. The first thing that I love about it is it doesn't take a lot of yarn, and it's fingering weight. You can do it in, I did a single ply, you don't have to, a single ply or something else, just a regular, like if you have some leftovers from socks or something too that you like together, you can use them, do your first brioche pattern. It's a free pattern, which is really, really great. And what I like about it is it starts here at the bottom. You do 6.5 inches or 6.25 inches of just plain old brioche in the round. 2-color brioche in the round is absolutely the easiest place to start with brioche because it's only 2 rows, and with one color you're always doing the knitting row, with the other color you're always doing the purling row, and I just think that helps when you're starting out with brioche to have that established. Then once you're feeling nice and comfy, it introduces brioche increasing and decreasing. Definitely more complicated, but not impossible, and after you've done all of this, you're ready for sure. So yeah, you can see those little like branches. It repeats all the way around. You use stitch markers and everything, and I just love it. My only kind of con for this pattern, and I can't even remember exactly if this is correct or not, but I know there was something in the language of the brioche that I wasn't a huge fan of because it doesn't match other brioche patterns. I think it was trying to simplify things rather than just use the brioche terminology, which is BRK, bark, or brioche knitting and brioche purling. I think it called it something different. And I think like when you're learning something, it's important to just learn the correct terminology like right away, right off the bat, so that you know to look for that in other patterns. But honestly, that's not a deterrent enough to like not use this pattern, and it's really great. So I love it. So here's a fun thing about brioche if you haven't seen it before. Here is the side that I intended to be worn on the outside. This is a cowl, by the way, did I say that? And then you flip it inside out and you've got a totally new, almost totally new pattern. Looks so different, right? And if you use 2 solids that are even more contrasting, you get even more of that result. than for me when I used a multi and everything. So I love how that turned out. It'll be a nice little cowl to wear when it's just like a little bit chilly outside underneath a jacket. Honestly, I'm gonna put it in a drawer right now and keep it out just in case I need it, because it has been getting chilly here. I'm not putting it fully away yet. So I did say that I had labels. I haven't done this for a while, I think since I've podcasted at our old house in Texas, but look at me. Okay, so this yarn was Hooker's Corner. The yellow is called Daffodil. And I'm glad I have these two, because since I'm giving this away, I can give this to the person. Hooker's Corner, and the multi is called Hooker's Corner. Signature colorway, I love that. Hooker's Corner was one of the, was a dyer that was affected in the fires in California, in Paradise, California, 2 or 3 years ago now. And this yarn is from before that. So this is a very special yarn, but since once I use a yarn for a project, if it's not gonna go into scrappy projects, I'm kind of like, I just know myself and I'm not gonna use it again. So that's why I'm giving it away on the vlog. So if you really like that, you can enter to win that there. Okay, next project here. Okay, so that's the only thing new that I finished, but last episode I talked about I have some projects that are mostly finished but not blocked. So let's pull those back out briefly and I can share them with you. They're kind of far away. Again, I haven't got my setup quite down completely yet. So one is the Musselburgh hat. Let's see, Natalie, did you bring out everything you're supposed to have? That's a no. Yes, okay. This feels so nice to be like back into having all my stuff organized again. Feels so good. This is Long Dog yarn and her bounce sock base. It's a 75-25, and that's the colorway, the one that I never know how to say. Lady Almalthea, I think. It is finished now. All I had to do was weave in an end and block it. So I know this doesn't look like anything yet, but this is a hat. It is a Musselburgh hat by Isolde Teague. What I'm about to do, it's a double layer deal here. You knit it in the round. I am going to kind of find the halfway point and like let one of the layers go inside the other. I guess when you block it, you get like a little bit of a line, you know, going down the middle. Let's see. I'm trying to get the starting and the end point to kind of line up with each other. And there we go. It doesn't really look that different from when I finished knitting it. It's just washed and blocked now. And now I have a nice new hat. Mine is a little slouchy. I think if I make another one of these, I probably won't do as much extra, but this will be good to have this one to know like how much to shorten it by so that I don't have the slouchiness. Although I don't really mind it. I kind of like it. I know this is going to be so nice and warm. This is truly the first time I'm trying it on since blocking it, and I think it fits great. I believe I would make this size again. I could afford to go down one size. I think I made, oh, forgive me for hitting that. I think I made the adult medium, I want to say, but I also think I was getting a smaller gauge than 7 stitches per inch. So it kind of might be like an in-between size. I used a US size 2. I knit the entire thing on magic loop with 32-inch needles. I'd probably do a 40-inch next time, or just do 16-inch needles because that makes it a little easier. Whoops, let me fix my hair. Ooh. My hair is fighting me lately. It's always like a little bit crazy. But there you go. It was finished last week. Now it's finished. I even have some finished object pictures. I need to get those up on Instagram here soon. One other thing real quick before I show you the big one. I'm so excited. These socks just hadn't been blocked, honestly. Look, they're almost the same color as my shirt. The ends were woven in. I just hadn't blocked them. It was just not really my top priority to be blocking things while I was in the middle of moving and chaos. So these are all finished. I know I have the label for this one too. This is Spectacular Yarns. This colorway is a one-of-a-kind colorway. You can see it says OOAK, one of a kind. And I think it was from her Advent this year. and it's so pretty. I love this color. I have a ton of this left over too, but since it's 75-25, I'm gonna put it into my scrappy projects and use that up. Oh, I'm sorry, Toaster. Did I scare you, buddy? I'm so sorry. Poor thing. Okay, that's all of my first initial second finishes. Dropping like everything. Now I don't even know what dropped. Okay, here is the big one. Let me grab it. I'm so excited. Guess what I have finally finished? That's right. It's my Slipstravaganza. It is 100% done. Bound off. Ends are woven in. It smells really good because I blocked it with some beautiful soap, and it is finished. I just finished this thing yesterday. So since it has been such a long time since I talked about it, I'm gonna run through the yarn here really fast. I don't even have the balls of yarn left because I've already cleaned them up. And by that I mean I've wound them into like 20-gram balls and kind of separated them into for me, for somebody else. So those aren't even over here, but I did have about 40 grams left of the main color. You had 2 balls of that. I had 40 grams of the main color and 40 grams of the pink and the coral. And then this one I think I've been using for other stuff, so it's just like gone. I don't even know where it is. But I do have all the tags here. Okay, so the first one I have, it's a mostly Suburban Stitcher shawl. Suburban Stitcher Quinceañera, and that was the pinky color. Quinceañera was her colorway for the 15th anniversary of the DFW Fiber Fest. Here, that's a better showing of it right there. Super pretty. The other one, let's see, another Suburban Stitcher in Bang Bang. I believe it's an Ariana Grande reference. That's the coral right there, and it's such a fun one. I love the coral. Really was made it pop. It was my color pop. And then the last Suburban Stitcher one is actually my main color. It is called Sugar. It's really pretty just on its own, but it actually has like pops of this color in there. So it worked out perfectly to just be like a light base for everything. And then the last color is from a different dyer, same base, so they really, and honestly like a similar dye style, so they kind of went together so well. Long Dog Yarn, we've been loving her yarn lately, in the colorway Dark Dimension. That is the gray right here. Super, super pretty. Okay, so now that I've gone through all of those, let's see how far I can back up in this chair and stand up, pull my shorts down because they've been riding up as I sit, excuse me, and let me show you as much of this as I can. It is a big old shawl, but doesn't it look so pretty? I can't wait to get finished object pictures. Today on Instagram, I'm gonna post a like before and after blocking just to show what a difference that blocking makes. But it turned out super, super good. So I did make some changes. Let me roll forward carefully here without getting my microphone cord. I made some changes, so let me see if I can remember what I did. I know I followed the pattern as intended with the appropriate colors, I think down to here, and then this is where I got off a little bit. I think I started with the wrong color, so I just like went for it and did like a patterning that mirrored. And then I know for the very bottom part there were 2 versions. There was a version where there were 3 stripes, like 1, 2, 3, one of each color, and then there was a version where there were 6. But if you look at mine, you can see that there are 5, and I did that on purpose. I didn't want to do the small version. I wanted mine to be larger, but I was also kind of getting like fed up and ready to be done. So I saw some other people do this. This was not my idea, but I did mirroring like here where there's the same color at the beginning, middle, end. So I kind of did that where I just had like this bang bang color in the middle, and then gray on either side, and then pink on either side. So I have 5 stripes to end it off. And I think it turned out great. So aren't we all glad that I can finally stop talking about this project? It is done, it is blocked, it is ready to put away. So I finished all of those projects yesterday. Again, it's gonna be all in a vlog, kind of the whole process, how I kind of spent a whole day knitting and finishing, and I need to not do that again, but it was a little bit fun. It was satisfying, I guess, in a way, to get all of that done. So I'll have to have Kent take some pictures of me eventually in this shawl to show it off, because it was so much fun. And oh no, oh my gosh, I just noticed this. This is terrible. I have no idea how this happened, y'all, but I have a giant hole. Oh my gosh, don't worry, it's fixable. Look, that's crazy. I guess the yarn broke right there, or else it's an end that I just didn't weave in. Well, that is just no good. I will have to fix that. Oh well, don't worry. Everything pretty much in knitting is fixable, and I will get it fixed. Did you see that when I was holding it up before? I bet some of you were like screaming, oh my gosh, it's broken. Don't worry, I'll fix it. Okay, last thing, I finished one more thing. I know, 5 things, kind of. I mean, some of them were pretty much finished. I have finished my second version of the Playtime cowl. It still has a marker on it to show me what the right side is, and it is also not blocked yet, but I just finished this up this morning. I finally did the last little bit of edging. So this is a pattern I've been working on. It's been in my head for so long. It's honestly ridiculous, but just kind of shows you where I've been mentally, like the last 6 months. I've just not been in the right state to do pattern design. It's been too much. My life has been too overwhelming, and this just hasn't happened, and you know what? That's just the way that it is. So this is a pattern that's going to come out eventually. You can see the beginning of round, so we're not going to show that part of it. You'd put that at the back of your neck anyway. So there is a single loop version, single loop, single skein, and then I had a double loop version. This one is blocked. The only problem, I had intended it to be like a 1 skein version and a 2 skein version, and this is a 2 skein version, but it only used a little bit of the second skein. It also required you, because it's a 2 skein cowl, whenever you're using 2 skeins of hand-dyed yarn, it's recommended to alternate skeins. And I was like, is it really worth the trouble of alternating skeins and buying a second skein for something that barely uses, I think it's like 110 grams. So I kind of asked you guys your opinion, and you said, you know, if you can make a version where it only uses 1 skein, that would be better, you know, cost-wise, and then just like ease of making it, which is always an important factor for me when I'm designing stuff. Because you wouldn't have to alternate the skeins. So I thought, well, I will try to make a single skein version, but I don't want to sacrifice like the integrity of the design. Obviously, we want it to still look nice and proportionate. So I am super pleased to say that I think this is successful. Again, this one is not blocked yet, but I'm just going to hold them up side by side so you can kind of see that this version is a little bit shorter. It's going to grow when I block it, but it's a little bit shorter, just a little, and a little bit narrower. This is the new one, but remember, still unblocked. But this version uses 110 grams, whereas this one uses like 94, 95. It's close. It's really close to a full skein, but it is under a full skein with a little bit of insurance. So I feel like this is the version that I'm gonna go for when I write the pattern, once I get it blocked and check and everything for sure. And then of course I'll have my testers make it and make sure that they can make it in just 1 skein as well. The good news is that just in case it doesn't work out that you can use a full skein, you can always eliminate the edging, or you can do it in a contrasting color, which will be really, really fun. So I am so pleased to finally have that done. Literally just this morning I finished it, and be that much closer to putting out a pattern again, or at least getting it tested. So yeah, that's really, really exciting. I think it's a good little like springtime cowl project. Maybe not the best time of the year to make a cowl, but since it is a small and quick project, it'll be fun to work on, and then, you know, save it for colder weather if needed. Okay, that's all my finished objects. Can you believe it? So much to celebrate today. Can't believe there's a hole in my Slipstravaganza. Really, can't believe it. Okay, let's talk about whips. I've only got 2 whips now, 2 pairs of socks actually. This one is the highest priority, probably the only thing I'm really going to work on until it's done, honestly, because I have a deadline on it. And there we go. Whenever I'm working on a pair of socks and I have 2 of them, I put the ball of yarn inside the sock so that they don't tangle, and it got tangled around the needles, so not successful there. Okay, this is a pair of socks that I'm working on for my husband's friend. His birthday is coming up in May, early May, so I need to finish these and ship them off by the end of April. But I'm getting really close. I'm a little further on this sock. I've got, I'm closing in on 60 rounds for the leg, longer than I make my leg. Also, since this is a men's sock, I've got 64 stitches instead of my normal 60, but I've done a lot since the last time I podcasted 2 weeks ago, but still, that's quite a bit. I think I'm going to change out my markers. I had these Mickey one, the Mickey cookie, for when we went to Disney in March. So time to change that out. I also have a Mickey one on this one, but you can see I've done quite a lot of knitting since the last episode on these. They're both well past the heel, working on the leg. Oh, this is just what I was doing this morning. I have my hot dog. He's so cute. So I think the plan for these is to do 60 rounds of stockinette for the leg, and then 20 more rounds of 2x2 ribbing, and call it good. I keep trying these on my husband because he's the same size, and they're fitting him pretty well. I ended up doing a fish lips kiss heel, which is my favorite, and it still seems to fit just fine. So if that's all I have to do, 60 rounds of stockinette, 20 rounds of ribbing, then I am getting really, really close and should have these done in the next week. Maybe even by the end of the weekend, which would be really good because then I can get them shipped off. This is Cascade Heritage Silk. It is 85% superwash merino and 15% silk. And the color number, because it's Cascade, is 9927. Doesn't that make you want to make this? I had Kent pick this yarn out since it's for his friend, and he thought that his friend would really like these. So there you go. Some socks, nice plain vanilla socks, really helping me get through all the craziness, having something simple to work on. And then I have one other pair of socks. Actually, that's so funny. I brought over this bag, and it's absolutely not socks. It's just minis from Advent. This is the Sockmas bag. That's really funny that I brought that over. Okay, well, 1 second, let me see if I can actually grab my whip. All right, I got the proper bag. Here it is right here. So I am working on a pair of socks out of Long Dog yarn. Like I said, I've been loving Long Dog yarn. It was in Slipstravaganza, my Musselburgh hat. This one is called Coral Crush, if it will focus on that really quickly. Coral Crush. And it is super, super pretty. I picked this out right before we left Texas, and I determined that these were my road trip socks. I cast them on when we got in the car leaving Texas, and I worked on them all throughout our trip. So I already have one sock finished. These are just for me. 60 stitches. I started at the cuff and did 20 rounds of 1x1 ribbing, 40 rounds for the leg, a fish lips kiss heel. I do 65 rounds for the foot and a square toe, and that one's done. And so now I'm just working on the second sock. I've done, like, the reason that my needles are all wonky is that I have started the fish lips kiss heel. You can see my little short rows beginning right there. So I'm working on that. I'm going to move my cute little marker down. I always keep, what are these things called? I love using progress keepers. They're not necessary, but they are really fun and they do help me feel motivated. Plus, like, I'll change them out if I'm feeling unmotivated from a project or need something fresh or I'm doing something themed. I've got a waffle one right now, but I'll keep my light bulb stitch markers on here so that I always have them easy to access, because I like to mark my socks every 20 rounds, or like at the end of the heel, beginning of the heel, stuff like that, so that I can count my rows and determine that the socks are the right size. So you can see on this one, I had a marker at the end of the heel and then every 20 rounds for the foot to help me count them. So that's why those are there. I get that question pretty often. Why are those there? What are they used for? Once you know for a certain yarn base, this is 75-25, because it does depend on the yarn base. It can change your gauge a lot. Getting that dog hair out of there. Once you know how many rounds to do, you can pretty much just like make socks like that. That's what makes them really, really easy. So these are kind of just hanging out. I'm working on my other socks for the most part, but I cannot just have socks going. I need to start a new project here, especially since I just finished up all those other ones. So here is what I am scheming about right now. I really want to make a spring top, something short sleeved, or I was kind of looking at tank tops too. I was browsing yesterday and I finally think, we won't know until I actually cast on and purchase the yarn, I think I'm going to make a summer sorrel. I'll put a picture in here. The sorrel sweater came out sometime in the last couple years, and the first version of it was mohair and I think fingering weight in mohair, long sleeved, and it has these just beautiful somethings. They're not cables. I don't know what they are yet. I will know once I actually knit the pattern. They're just beautiful. They radiate out from the yoke and they are so, so pretty. And that sweater has just captured my interest for a while. Now there are several different versions and different yarn weights with different sleeve lengths. And I know they've improved upon the pattern as well. So I am going to probably go buy some yarn tomorrow for a summer sorrel. Natalie, why aren't you using your stash? Well, I don't think I have enough yarn in my stash and a color that I want to make the sweater, because my sweater quantities are all gray, and like right now I'm very much in a fresh spring summer mood. I want to do something fun and colorful, and I only think I'll need a few skeins, plus I want to visit some yarn stores. So my plan tomorrow is to go out and buy some yarn at one of the New York City yarn stores I haven't been to before and start a fun new project. I mean, what a better way to like go into the weekend than doing that. So that's my plan. I'm excited to do that. The vlog that I recorded finishing all these projects, that little trip is going to be in that vlog too. So don't worry, you'll get to see all of it. Plus I'll tell you about it as well. Okay. I think that's it, except one more thing I wanted to share about projects is that I washed my float tote for the first time. So this is my original float tote. It is a giant tote bag. This is the 5 skein version. And you might have heard me talk about it many times, but you make all these little cups. I chose to put the magnetic snaps on them. This sits inside the tote, and it's great for color work or like a large project where you have a lot of skeins going at once, or you just want to keep them all together, whatever you want to do with it. Some people just make the tote and not the inserts or anything. And I've got several different sizes too. This is my very, very first one. Which makes it 3 years old, and I have used this thing to death. What I usually do is I have my project that is on this inside, and then I'll put like other projects on top of it and carry this around, like if I'm going over to a friend's house, my mother-in-law's, the yarn store, whatever, and just make this like my big bag. That means it's gone several places. Sometimes it sits on the floor. It was very, very dirty. So yesterday I was, in a finishing mood, cleaning things up, and I finally got my Slipstravaganza. That's the last project that was in here. I got it out, cleaned it up, put the yarn away, and I was like, man, this thing is dirty. So I threw this in the washing machine with some gentle soap, and I said a prayer. I was a little worried about the black and the ecru, And honestly, I think that there's some black fuzzes on here. You know, I was worried about the dye transfer, but it did a pretty good job. Also, when I went to dry it, because cotton absorbs yarn like crazy, cotton absorbs water like crazy, and it was soaking wet. So I did dry it on low for about an hour. I did it in like 20-minute increments, and it is still damp. It dried overnight and it's still damp. So that's just resting. But I wanted to tell you that I did that. This is sugar and cream, held double. So it's like a heavy duty thing here, but you can wash that. I just didn't wash this part. Now, this part doesn't get as dirty because it's on the inside, but when I do need to wash it, I will just separate everything and then hand wash it. Let it soak and air dry. I didn't think magnets in the washing machine were a good idea. So I did that, got that taken care of. Things are looking up, guys. I'm getting so much more organized. Super happy. Okay, before we go into questions, I have a little gift that I want to share with you, a gift that was sent to me. Let me gather this up here so I can tell you all about it. Actually, let me pull it out. It came wrapped in some paper, which is really, really cute. Came like wrapped up like this, but it's a little bit crinkly, so rather than sit there and crinkle it, I will just show you individually. All right, so this is a mystery stitch marker kit sent to me from Vessel Stitch Co. Thank you so much, Ash, for sending me this. This is the April mystery stitch marker set. Hold on. Okay, I had a tickle in my throat, plus a truck outside made like such a loud horn noise. It sounded like a boat. Good timing to like cut the audio on that real quick. Okay, back to this. Vessel Stitch Co. This is Ash Christine, and she sent me the April mystery stitch marker set. Okay, so this is super cute. I'm going to show you what all came in the set. I'll also have a link to her shop down below, and I have a coupon code for 15% off for you guys. Let me double check. Yes, 15% off. So I'll put the code on the screen right now. It's Knitty Natty 15 if you want to go get either May or June's mystery stitch marker club or anything in her shop. So you got to go check it out. Let me show you what came in this one. So there's two options when you get the stitch marker set. You can get just the markers for $12, or you can get the markers plus goodies for $25. And so this one is all of the goodies, but of course I'm going to show you the markers first. They're themed for each month and they are super pretty. I'm flipping things around so you can see all of them. This was April, so of course it had to be like Easter, spring themed. And here are the stitch markers. They are so beautiful. These two flipped around, darn it. There's little roses in different colors and then a sweet little bunny. And what I love about these is they're actually progress keepers. They're round, but they open up. Let me get one off of here for you. They open up so they can be used as stitch markers, progress keepers, and also for crocheters. So they're super versatile. I actually really like that they're rounded because that means they'll hang on, if you want to use them as a stitch marker, they'll hang on the needle really, really nicely. Probably better than those like earring ones. Because they're round. So those are super, super pretty. And then this one came with goodies. So there were 2 Easter eggs that have candy in them. It looks like we got some Skittles here. Oh yeah, some Skittles in both of them, which is super duper cute. It also came with scissors. I actually love these. I keep a few pair of these when I am going out and about, and I throw it like in the project bag directly when I know I'm gonna need to clip stuff. So I love these, and I love them even more that they are pink. And then lastly, it came with a little mini skein. I was looking back through, I looked at March's mystery mystery stitch marker club too, and I saw that there was some yarn included. So I feel like pretty safe to say there's gonna be yarn if you get the extra goodies. And she also dyes yarn. So I believe this is her yarn. Ooh, this label's really cool. This is called Voyager Twist. Oh no, this might be something different. The red pansy. I don't know, but the colorway is beautiful. It's called Ballerina, and it's a light purpley color. So this is definitely going to go into my little mini skein collection, and I'll put it into my, why can't I talk today? I'll put it into my scrappy projects. Okay, so again, that was the mystery yarn, or sorry, I keep saying yarn, mystery stitch marker club from Vessel Stitch Co. And you can get it just the stitch markers, or you can get the goodies. If you want to get 15% off May or June or anything in her shop, make sure to use the code Knitty Natty 15, and then follow the link down in the description box so you can go over to her shop and check that out. Super, super cute. All right, let's get into some questions, because I still have lots of questions that need to be answered. I'm not getting to all of them today because that would be too many. We'd be here forever. But there are some really, really good ones. There's always good questions that I want to go ahead and answer. If you ever have questions for me, don't hesitate to ask. I love answering your questions. There is a specific way that is best to ask me questions. Hold on, I'm trying to find, where is the tab that I had these on? Maybe I didn't have them up yet. Well, let me just find them here. The best way to ask me questions, like if you want just a personal answer and you want a quick one, is to email me, natalie@knittynatty.com. That's the best way to get a quick response. If you need pattern help, please put pattern help in the title of your, or in the subject of your email, and that will also help me get back to you faster. That is something brand new that I just started doing, and so if you didn't know about that, don't worry. I am telling you for the very first time. You haven't missed anything. The second way is to go to Ravelry. If you're a Ravelry user, you can put questions in the Ask Me thread, and I will answer them specifically on the podcast. Those are the two best ways to ask me questions, because those are the ones that I'm like constantly checking. Ways that you can also ask me questions, but honestly are hit or miss, is direct messaging me on Instagram. I don't always get back to those. It's just a little bit harder to keep track of messages on Instagram. And then Ravelry, I will be honest, I am not the best about checking my Ravelry messages, so better to email me or to put them on the thread. Okay, I forget how to find my groups here on Ravelry now that things have changed, but I'm almost there. Hold on, here we go. Okay. So let's answer some questions. There are some really good ones here today. The first one is from Gigi, Colorado. In one of your podcasts, you mentioned yarn tags. I was wondering what you're referring to. With so many balls and skeins that lose their bands, how do you keep track? I have a system, but it is a bit cumbersome, and I'm looking for something a bit easier. Thanks, I am enjoying you on Instagram. Oh, thank you so much. Okay, so as you can see, I just got reunited with my yarn tags or ball bands, whatever you like to call them, today. So this is my system, and it works for me mostly when I can find them, but it might not work for everyone. So I like to keep my ball bands separate from my projects so that they stay nice, and that is solely to show them on the podcast. So I had them in a basket before, now I have them in this little bowl. My current whips, the tags are in here, and I like to just keep them out so I can show them to you on the podcast and I don't forget what they're called. The way that I keep track of them long term is I track my project in Ravelry. So that's the best way that I know to do it digitally. I'm sure there are some other platforms, and especially now, since Ravelry is not accessible for everybody, hopefully there will be some platforms coming out that are better to use for everyone. But that's what I do right away. As I start a project, I put the yarn info into Ravelry so it's there digitally forever and I can refer back to it. I've used that so many times because once I'm done with a project, I actually throw away the tag, the physical tag. I don't keep it. So all these tags that I just showed you today for Slipstravaganza and other stuff, I've been tossing over here on the bed because I'm gonna get rid of them. I don't need to keep them anymore now that the project is finished, even though I have like little balls of yarn left. Sometimes though, I will go, I want to use that color again, or what was it called? And I can go back into my projects that are on Ravelry and I can look those up. So that's been the best way for me. Again, that's not going to work for everyone for a variety of reasons. So hopefully there's some other ways coming up soon, maybe digitally, that can happen. But I know some people prefer to do it on paper, and they have like a little notebook and they always just write down the same things, or even tape their tag into the notebook and just make like a kind of a special like project memory notebook. So that might be an option for you. Next question is from Salve American Girl. Hi, I knit this super cute cowl, but I found even when knitting it that it rolls a lot, and still even after blocking. Is it my tension, the color work? I did 2 more repeats of the chart. Is this my issue? Is there anything I can do? I thought about adding a drawstring to the top, but I don't know what to do and just want to show off this great pattern. Okay, so this is really, really cute. I'm going to show it to you here. This is so cute. It's like little dinosaurs. It almost looks like one of those games. I don't remember what they're called, but like the side tracking games. It's really, really cute. So I can see what you're talking about. There's a little bit of curling there on the bottom, and that is kind of strange. It surprises me because it really shouldn't be curling all that much with ribbing and stockinette. I don't think it's your color work. I really don't think you did anything wrong. My only guess here is it could be something to do with the fiber content. I'm not sure. It looks like a blend of some sort, so it's not 100% wool. I know some fibers do better than others in blocking, and they will like lie flat or kind of slack a little bit. So it could be the fiber content, but honestly, I don't think you did anything wrong. The other thing I'm wondering, this is just occurring to me now, is I wonder if there should have been a few rows of plain stockinette before the color work started. It looks like the color work starts immediately after the ribbing, and maybe that would have helped transition things just a little bit. Because I know for some of us it can be an issue. Actually, for most people, sorry, now that I'm answering the question, all these other things are coming to mind. Typically in a pattern, you'll use a different size needle for the ribbing, a smaller size needle for the ribbing, and then go up 1 to 2 sizes for the stockinette. So I'm wondering if that's something that also could have helped, and then the ribbing wouldn't be taking up more space than the color work. That really could be what it is. It might be that you need a different needle size, a smaller needle size for the ribbing, and if the pattern didn't say that, I mean, that's not your fault. That's just the way that it is. So there's a couple theories. I don't know exactly what it is, but maybe it's the fiber content. Maybe it needed a little more plain knitting before the color work, or maybe it needed a smaller needle size for the ribbing, or all of the above. But honestly, I don't think that it looks like bad. Like, I think you should wear it. It's super cute. And you did a beautiful, beautiful job on the color work. So hopefully don't stress about it too much, because I think it looks great. All right, next question is from Anna J. Crafts. Hi Natalie, I love your podcast. I'm knitting on my first ever lace shawl, and even though I just started it, I'm already finishing it in my head. We all do that, don't we? The yarn is 100% silk lace weight and it's dry clean only. I'm worried about blocking it. Is there a way I could block it without damaging it at the end? So far, the lace is laying pretty well. Is this something that I don't need to block? Any advice would be appreciated. Thank you. So I had to do a little research here because I don't think I've ever used 100% silk before. With a blend, I still would wet block it, but it looks like with 100% silk, the best thing to do is not to put it like fully immersed in water, because silk is very, very delicate. Let me show everyone your project. You do want to block it because it will just open up even more, but you won't need much blocking. Look how beautiful that is. So pretty. So what I read that's best is to lay it out, put a few like pins in it, and actually lightly mist it with water. So just get an empty spray bottle. You can get them like at the dollar store, on Amazon, fill it with just water and just spray and pin. You can kind of ease the shawl out. You don't need to completely saturate it or soak it, but just a little water will go a long way. So I think that's probably going to be the best thing and the best way to start because it's extremely gentle. I wouldn't fully immerse it in water and I wouldn't steam it, but try just spraying it with water. And if you guys have any advice for any of the questions today, feel free to add your own tips and everything in the Ravelry group or here in the YouTube comments, because I promise you everything helps. All right, just a couple more questions. This one is from, I think it's Tejidos Crochet. Sorry, I'm butchering that one. Hi Natalie, I've been enjoying watching your podcast for the last couple months. I've been crocheting for a year and a half and you inspired me to learn knitting. One thing I noticed is that the long needles hurt my arm. I switched to circular and they seem to work better. I'm thinking about buying an interchangeable set, but I noticed that they are pricey. For this, I want to make sure that I get good ones. I wanted to see if you had any recommendations for interchangeable needles. Okay, happy to help here. So I want to affirm that yes, circular needles are going to help you. They are not going to hurt your arms as much as the long needles. The reason is that the long needles, they have, when you're knitting, get a lot of weight on the end and it's hard to control. So if you have it something very small, 5-6 inch needle tips, it's going to be a lot better on your arms. So that's definitely right. You're correct in that. Interchangeable needles are like the best knitting invention ever. I love interchangeable needles. I only ever use circular or interchangeable needles. I don't use straight needles anymore. Haven't for years, and it's a matter of preference, but I would say most modern day knitters are going to use circular needles, and a lot of them will use interchangeable needles. It's just a lot easier. So there are some really good options that are not going to break the bank, that are nice needles. The ones that I use all the time, I don't think I have them over here, but are my Knit Picks wooden interchangeable needles. They're about $70 for the set. And at first, that price is going to sound like a lot because it is a lot. But when you start to think about how many different types of needles you can make and how much it would cost to buy each of those needles individually, you are going to save a lot of money. As long as you don't ever, if you're somebody who only ever knits on size 8, then there's no reason for you to get an interchangeable set, but most of us knit on multiple sizes of needles, and an interchangeable set is 100% worth it. So Knit Picks is a really great affordable option. I think I'm right on that price. They also have metal, and they used to have an acrylic plastic version. They might still have that too. I'm not 100% sure on that, but yeah, I really like my Knit Picks. I've had them for 10 years and they're still really, really great. And whenever I use this size a lot, I just order more needle tips and put them with the cords, and it works really, really great. So that's my favorite option. Super affordable, easy to get. I love those. And then if you are into metal needles, the other option I would say is the Chigu interchangeable set. Also quite affordable, and they have the best cords. The Knit Picks cords are good for anything you're gonna knit in the round or back and forth, but I don't like using them for magic loop. So if you feel like you're gonna need yours for magic loop and you like metal, Chigu might be a better one for you, the Chigu red lace, because that cord is really, really great. So there's 2 options for you that are awesome. Okay, last question here from Quiet Comet Crochet. Hi Natalie, I know you're close to finishing your Stephen West cowl and was wondering how you weave in your ends on a knit shawl or any other 2-sided project. I love your tutorial for weaving in ends for socks. It was immensely helpful for everything worked in the round. Thanks. P.S. The project I'm worried about is knit with fingering weight and mohair lace held together. Okay, so I can totally answer that question since I just finished my shawl. Let me grab it without hustling it too much because now we know there's a hole in it. So my shawl, I would not consider a 2-sided project. I would definitely consider it to have a right side and a wrong side, a side that I'm going to wear out and a side that is not going to be seen as much. But it is different than a sweater or a sock where you're definitely not going to see the inside. So I try to make the ends look nice if I can. Oh, I was like, oh my gosh, another hole. It's the same hole, right? Please be the same hole. Is it? Is it? Okay, good. It's the same hole. Oh my gosh, it's terrible. Okay, anyway, forget that part because I don't even know what happened there. Okay, so for most of the shawl, I did one technique where you knit over the ends. If you did Slipstravaganza, it is really similar to the weave in Steven method, but I actually think this one's a little bit easier to do as you go because you don't have to make physical twists. Instead, you hold the end in one hand and the working yarn in the other hand, and you do it as you go. I've got a video for that, a tutorial, so I'll make sure to link it in the description box and up above, and you can go check that out. But just to show you kind of what it looks like, you follow, like as you introduce a new color, you knit over the old one. So you can't really see it. You can see like the little tiny ends where I snipped it right there. But what I love about that is it allows you to just knit over it, and then later you can come back and just snip it, and you don't have to thread a tapestry needle at all. That's what I did for most of the ends. There were some that you couldn't do that for in this shawl. The ends that, here they are. The ends that ended up at the tip of these triangles. You're looking at the wrong side here. I've woven in an end right here, and you can probably see it, but it's not super visible. So what I do in garter stitch is I will follow like the ridges. So I will come through a ridge, and then I will go like up, down, up, down, up, down. And then when I go down, I'll go to the next set of ridges, up, down, up, down, up, down. And then I will go back through the last one. I know that would be better to show you how to do that, but it does work pretty well. It's quite effective, and I don't think that it really is like super ugly. I wouldn't do it on a right side, but on the wrong side, I think it looks really, really good. So that's how I went about weaving ends in on that project in particular. All right. Deep breath. That was a lot of questions. I still have a few more that I have left out, but I will get to them shortly. Okay, let's talk about life. That's weird. I didn't delete everything from the last one. Let's talk about, well, maybe let's talk about news first, and I can talk about those prizes, and then we'll talk about life. Okay, so as far as news goes, not too much going on. I had a vlog come out last Thursday, I think. Yeah, because I did things backward last week. I did a podcast and then a vlog. A vlog of just a weekend in New York City, our first weekend. We did a lot of fun stuff. We went to the Central Park Zoo and all kinds of things. I did a little bit of knitting, a little bit of unpacking, a little bit of New York stuff, and all that is in there. So if you haven't seen that yet, go check out that vlog. I'm going to be doing a lot of vlogs here in New York because there's just so many fun things to share. So that's pretty much all the news that I have. That's the new stuff that's going on with Knitty Natty. Hopefully more coming soon as I start to get more organized. I did get my yarn shelf unpacked, and I'm gonna have a tour coming in a couple weeks where I show you everything and the process of unpacking it, putting it all away on my new Calyx shelf. For now, I'm trying to keep it hidden from Instagram so that it's more of a surprise. But yeah, that's the news I think for now. And then let's talk about prizes. Okay, so there is going to be one winner for this big 100 episode prize because I want the one winner to get lots of very exciting things. So you're gonna get a few things if you're the winner. I have 2 sponsors that have donated something, and then you're gonna get something from me as well. So it's gonna be a big prize. I'm very excited for it, and all you need to do to enter is just do any comment down below and you are entered, and I will pull the winner a week from the day this posts, so a week from Thursday, April 22nd, which would make it Thursday, April 29th, I believe. Okay, so the first prize is from my friend Heather, who recently started her own yarn dyeing business called Craft Nut Yarns. She is giving away 1 skein of fingering weight in her blueberry muffin colorway, and it's a 75-25 yarn. I'll put a picture of it in so you can see what it looks like. It's super, super cute. And I love 75-25 for socks, hats, anything. So that's going to be a really, really great prize. So that's number one. Again, this is all going to one person. Prize number two is from Vita of So Crazy Crafter. She makes fabulous project bags. It's actually great that I brought this one over accidentally, because this is one of her bags. Here's our little label here. Not this bag, of course, but you will get to pick one small drawstring project bag of your choosing, and that will be the second thing for the prize, so from So Crazy Crafter. And I'll make sure to link Craft Nut Yarns and So Crazy Crafter down in the description box so that you can go check out their shops, because there's only one winner and you might want to go buy something just in case you don't win. And then the last thing, this is going to be from me, coming from my personal collection. This is a beautiful bag. So this bag I got last year in 2020 at the Hill Country Weavers Retreat, Knitting in the Hills. It is, I would say, gently but barely used. I just realized that I am not using it to its full potential, and it would be better suited for somebody else to have it. So I am giving it away. It's a really nice bag. They said that it was like a Hohi-like bag, but it is not like her other bags. Like, I don't think it's handmade and all that, but it's still a really quality bag. It's thin, but it's quite large, so you can fit like laptop, books, a small knitting project in it. Here's the coolest part. See that part in the middle? It's a divider, which is great, but see how it has snaps? You can actually, hold on, you can take this part out and it becomes a second bag. I've only done this like one time, so if you watched the vlog from last year, you would have seen this, but I've never actually done it myself, which again, I don't take full advantage of this bag, so somebody else needs it. You can just pull this out, and there's a strap inside, which is still in its plastic, still with silica, again, because I'm not using it, but this strap goes on here, so you can use this by itself or put it on the bag and do like a longer shoulder strap. Those straps fit on your shoulder too. They're great. And this one even has, this says Joy Susan. I don't know. There's a little zipper inside here as well. So you can put like small stuff in there. This one actually is really good for projects. And there's a couple of open pockets in here. So it's really, really cool. Last thing about this bag is it has a small pouch that's connected to the strap, or you can take it off. And as a bonus, a very useless bonus, inside are some knit coin, which are knit coin. Don't you love that? Sounds like Bitcoin. Sorry, they're not worth really anything right now. Knit coin, which we got at the retreat. But if you remember, if you were watching, I didn't buy anything there. I was in a definite like no buying new yarn mode, and I didn't buy a single thing, so I didn't use any of my knit coin, and I don't know when they'll be having in-person events again, or if I'll go back now that I live in New York, or if knit coin will even exist. So there's a random bonus for you. Okay, so all you need to do to enter is put a comment down below. This is a US only giveaway because of the shipping and because of our sponsors' wishes, that it is just going to be for US entry only. I'm so sorry if you are out of the country. I know it's hard when you have to hear that one, but yes, so just leave a comment down below and I will randomly draw a winner a week from today. You'll get the bag, the yarn, and then a project bag from So Crazy Crafter that you get to pick out. It's going to be a great prize, so I'm super excited about that. Okay, let's talk about life. We have been settling in more and more each week. We moved here on April 1st was our move-in day, and it is now April 21st. I can't believe it's been 20 days, yet somehow it's like not enough time. Like, we're still not unpacked and things are still a little crazy, and we've got boxes, and every day it gets a little bit better. We're spending a lot of time out of our apartment, exploring and doing different things. This last weekend, we went to another zoo, the Prospect Park Zoo. If you were following me on all of this and that, my personal Instagram, I shared a lot of video from the zoo. There were peacocks everywhere. It was super, super fun. And we also went to a speakeasy. There's lots of speakeasies around the city. This one was shared on Instagram. It is in a subway station, and it said like DM for like direct message on Instagram for reservation, and I did right away. And then the next thing I knew, there was like a 900 person waiting list. So we felt really lucky to get in a couple of weeks, and it was super, super cool. So we went and did that this past weekend. So much fun. We've got more zoos to explore, more speakeasies to go to, more restaurants to go to, more yarn stores to go to. There's so much to explore here in New York City, and so I can't wait to do all of that. So depending on what I'm sharing, I tend to share it in different places. So if you want to see everything, make sure you're following me on YouTube and Instagram with both Knitty Natty and This and That, because if it's not directly yarn related, I tend to share it more over on This and That, or all of This and That. That's my Instagram. But if it has something to do with yarn, like obviously when I go to a yarn shop, I'm going to share it on Knitty Natty, and that's just how I keep things spicy and different in both of those places, in case you're following me on both, and also relevant, to the audience and everything. Okay, yeah, that's kind of what the last weekend was all about. Yesterday I spent a lot of time finishing projects, like I said. Today I'm going to be tackling this giant pile of clothes that's here in the room. It's some laundry, some clothes that we just haven't put away since we've gotten organizers yet. So I'm going to be working on that, getting things looking really, really nice. I don't know if you can see behind me, but I finally put up my calendars that I used to have above my desk. I got a new desk chair. I tried to make this look nice for the podcast. Everything is starting to come together, and it feels really, really nice. Not gonna lie, it's not great when it's all messy. But yeah, I think I'm realizing how long I've been recording, and that's a long, long time. It is episode 100, so it's gotta be big, but that's a long time. So I think that is all. I think that I said everything I wanted to say. Big episode, lots finished. I can't wait to show you hopefully some new stuff that I'm working on here next week. Make sure that if you want to win that giveaway and you're in the US, you leave a comment down below, and check out all the people that I talked about today: Vessel Stitch Co., Craft Knit Yarn, So Crazy Crafter. And I think that's it, y'all. Let's wrap this up. The weather's getting darker outside. I need to go take Toaster out before it rains too. And yeah, there we go. Womp womp. And that's the end of the big episode. An awkward end. Anyway, I'll stop rambling now. So good to talk with you guys, and I will see you again next week. I'll have a vlog and a podcast. Can't wait. Bye.